Hi, welcome to my studio. I'm Connie Rodriguez and this is Painting from the Inside Out. In the last video I showed you how to create marks for the foundation of your backgrounds on your work. Today I'm going to show you how to add collage papers to these pieces that we worked on last time. Okay, I'm going to show you some papers that I pulled out of all my bins. I didn't pull all my paper out. I have a lot, and a lot of these I've made. For example, this is tissue paper, and it's made with one of the fluid paints by Goldens with coffee grounds on top. This is a fun paper to use in doing collage work. A couple other pieces that I've pulled out. Not sure really what I'm going to be doing. I'm probably going to try to stay on the same side of the color wheel still. And if you can see some of these papers that are handmade, I stamped this one with one of these stamps that I made myself. And you can do this at home. It's really fun. It's very easy. You get some foam core board that looks like this and cut it up. It comes in a bigger sheet, of course. And this is just rubber that you can, or I guess it's rubber, but they're about $1 a sheet. You can get them at Michael's. Cut them in the shapes you want. Glue them down with Elmer's glue overnight and they last forever. This time of the year is fun, being that it's during the holidays. You can make your own Christmas cards. Here's a stamp that I made using the same kind of rubber sheeting on a foam core board. Okay, so you can see with the stamping, I've stamped my own papers. Sometimes I'll pick up paper wherever I find good paper. Could be in the restaurants, it could be in a hobby store, and or music paper. This is an old map. But it's really fun to use, tear up, and use in your collage work. So I'll probably use this today since it's in my side of the color wheel I'm working on. Again, this is tissue paper that I made, colored with paint, and it's really yummy. It's very sherbet-looking, sherbety. This I made with a brayer over some gold paint. So there's lots of choices. You can be on the lookout for papers if you like to do mixed media. This paper has a lot of strings in it, and it has two sides to it. And again, this paper has wonderful texture on it. And you could imagine using pastels over on the top of it, and just the top edges it would show up. So I'm not sure again what I'll be using today, but I wanted to show you some of the papers that I've already made at another time and that I may choose to use. Again, tissue paper painted, and then a roller, a brayer. If some of you don't know what a brayer is, this is a brayer. They can be purchased at your Hobby Lobby or craft stores will carry these. So they're wonderful for putting paint on your painting. In fact, this painting behind me is mostly done with a credit card and a brayer. So I paint a lot with palette knife and credit card, and I just roll paint on. There's a lot of paint rolled on here, and I've made a lot of marks in here. The last video we talked about mark making. So underneath this, the history of this painting, there's a lot. This is all really colorful underneath, if you could have seen it all. And now what's showing is some of this stenciling that I have, which is another way of mark making. Some stenciling here, and some of the history showing up, and some of the marks that I made underneath. I'm hoping you can see that. we maybe get a close-up of that in just a little bit, and you'll see it up close. So mark making can happen all during your painting. And collage, there's a lot of collage papers in there. In fact, there's that black and white checkered one. All right, so, oh, I forgot, tissue paper is another wonderful paper to use because it's, you can see through it. So I put some tissue paper on one of these paintings, then you'll see the marks behind it. Okay, let me do that for you. So I'm applying papers with this Nova Color gel. It's from novacolor.com. Nova Gel number 207. You can order it in this quart size. It's a lot less expensive than some of your other gel mediums like you find at the online or at the art stores. Nova Gel has lots of colors. They have metallic colors and paint, acrylic paint. And see, can you see how this is smearing right here? I really like that myself. So now I don't want to stick my palette knife back in because it's smeared. I'll just clean that off and get some more glue. This is all glue. So we're going to put some of this paper. May show up. I may not put it on the whole thing. I don't know yet. But this Nova Gel dries clear. So even though you see that it's kind of white now, it won't be that color when it dries. So I told you about tissue paper. You can paint over this. One of the ways to apply your paper so that it's nice and flat is to use freezer paper, shiny side down, and just brayer over it. Just make sure it gets all the edges nice and flat. And then, well, I'm not thinking very much right now. Again, just having fun. So what I'm going to be aware of though is using different sizes of paper. So we don't want all one size, like this size and this size, pretty close to the same size. So I need to really be aware that the next piece I put down won't be in this large size. So why am I putting this here? I don't know. I just thought it would look good there. Maybe I can take it back up, put it somewhere else. I could decide maybe I want to put another of these pieces someplace across here, since I already have my glue down. I'm going to brayer this down. Same with this. Now I have a lot of glue on here. That's okay. So I noticed that when I picked that back up, some of this paper came up. So I'm going to just make sure that it stays nice and tight on the canvas. Okay, and so again, I'm going to pick some other colors now. Maybe something with writing on it. Maybe this wonderful map that may show up at the end of this painting. I know that's loud in sorry about the sound and the noise, but bear with me as I put some of these papers down. And again, it's just putting it wherever I want it. The next step in painting this painting would be to be sure that all this paper and glue has dried. So that's why I usually like to work on 2 or 3 pieces at once. So I'm going to put this one aside and pull out the paper that I worked on last time with all these wonderful marks. And again, the decision is, is this a painting that would be horizontal or vertical? We don't know at this point. It could be either. So I haven't decided if this is going to be something you can actually say, oh, that's a lake in the forest. Or is this going to be something that's non-objective? Abstract and non-objective are different terms. Non-objective means there's nothing in the painting that you would say, oh, that's a tree, or that's a person, or that's a this or that. Whereas abstract work, you can tell it's abstracted, it's not realistic, but it's still something you can actually say, oh, I see that this is a person in this painting, or a tree, and so forth. Okay, so I have this wonderful paper I showed you earlier, these purples, and wow, that's really yummy, yummy. But I'm not going to do that just yet. But I might later add some color, this color, to this painting. Put this down. Make sure that when you put your glue down, you really get it glued down. There's nothing worse to have edges glued down and the middle pops up because there wasn't enough gel medium on the piece. So because I used one here already, and used some more of this paper, and again I'm noticing my sizes again are pretty similar, so I'm going to go with some smaller sizes. So it adds interest to have different sizes in on your, that's true with shape, any kind of shapes, whether you're painted on or whether you've glued them down like I'm doing. So another thing you can do and be thinking about is you can put your papers right on top of each other. So this one is here, and I don't know if you can see it very well because it's under all this white glue, but I'm going to put another piece really close to it so they're touching like that. Now we have one bigger shape. It's different than the two pieces that I put down earlier. So again, looks like a lot of glue, and it is, and it dries clear, so you don't have to worry too much about all this glue. So gel medium is wonderful for collage work, and next time when you come back, you'll see how these pieces show up, but the glue doesn't. Okay, so now I'm going to try this one. Like, wow, that really stands out. I could put that in here and play with it some. I'm not going to at this point. I might do that after I get some more paint on it. I think I'm going to use this really textured paper on here. And because it has a straight edge and this straight edge, I take one of the straight edges off, and then I'm going to use this side of the painting for the other straight edge. And again, lots of glue, gel medium. By the way, gel medium comes in glossy and matte. For this kind of work, it doesn't matter what one you get. The gloss does dry glossy, but you can paint right over it. So, like I said, I have both. I've used both. It doesn't really matter so much. Okay, so these pieces now, I'm thinking I want to put some clear tissue paper to show some of these marks underneath. I'm going to take some of this paper, have some glue right here, and again, the hard edges, Those sharp edges will show in your work. You may like that, but I'm going to be avoiding those for now. May add those back in later. Okay, and here's one more piece. And I can hardly wait to show you what happens with the tissue paper. See, it didn't really glue down there, so I'm putting more glue. But when you put the paint over it, oh wow, it was so fun to see tissue paper. So I'm going to stick another piece. It's kind of linear this way. I think I'll go in a different direction. Make sure I have enough glue down and stick it right across there. It's probably good for today. I'll let this dry and see what happens. Now once again, I want to point out this painting behind me, which isn't quite done. I've passed the play stage. These are in the play stage. This is more in the end stage of my work and of our work when we do this. So now I'm really having to decide, what do I do next? What does it need? I'm at this place with this painting where I want to live with it for a few days. I want to just look at it, see if something catches my eye, see if it needs some more color, if it needs more marks. So for me right now, it doesn't have enough dark marks. So when it dries, I may come in and add more. But I hope you'll be with me so you see the finish of this piece, because right now it's sort of toward the end of the work. So I'm past playing. I'm more in the exploratory stage of the work, which is when you're thinking more about it. And then at the very end, you're really being careful of what you do, adding, subtracting, and so forth. So here we are for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you'll come back so you can see what happens when we add paint to these pieces.